Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. In this video, we'll be talking about the Ancient Puebloans in the New Mexico, Arizona areas. Please remember to like and subscribe. Now let's get right into it. Fact 1, aka Anasazi. The Ancient Puebloans were also known as Anasazi, and this is actually now a derogatory term, because the word is actually Navajo. It seems that when the Spanish people encountered the Native Americans in this area, they probably encountered the Navajo people first. And so they asked the Navajo people who are the Puebloans, and the Navajo people responded Anasazi, or ancient enemies, because they were probably enemies of each other. And so you can see this term is not really correct, and I totally agree that it should not be used anymore, because the term is from only one perspective, the Navajos. It's not even what the Puebloans call themselves. So now you know, try to avoid that term and try to use Ancient Puebloans as much as possible. Cool. Now let's get into the next fact. Fact 2, village people. So you can see in the word Puebloans with the stem of Pueblo, and Pueblo is a Spanish word, means village. And so when the Spanish encountered the Puebloans, they named them Puebloans, because these people lived in villages, contrasting to, for example, the Plains Indians or other Indians or Native Americans, where they lived in maybe teepees or migratory settlements. The Puebloans lived in villages constructed of mud and stone. Their ancient settlements still exist today in Colorado, Arizona, and New Mexico, and they're all national parks for you to visit. It is incredible that these ancient people were able to build into cliffs and stone and build their housing on top of high ground to protect themselves from enemies such as Navajos. Because this is a type of conflict, it is evident that the Navajo people and the Puebloans were enemies of each other, and they constantly fought for territory or natural resources in the American West. Now let's get into the next fact. Fact 3, descendants. As we alluded earlier, the people we're describing are ancient Puebloans, which means that they no longer exist as a people, but they are also ancestors of existing Native American tribes. Some of the better well-known Pueblo peoples that are still existing today are Taos, Hopi, Acoma, Zuni, and so forth. And so you can think that the ancient Puebloans or the ancient Pueblo peoples are really just the ancestors of the various tribes that currently exist today in New Mexico, Arizona, and Colorado. On the other hand, it is interesting to note that the Navajo still exists as the same group of people today. It seems that perhaps the Pueblo people, or the ancient Pueblo peoples, were able to develop into a much larger nation state that, once dissolved, spawned many different smaller nations. And so they are not gone, but they've now evolved into the various Native American nations that we know of today. Cool, let's get into the next fact. Matrilineal succession. The ancient Pueblo people are a little different from majority of the world's ancient cultures. However, they're not the only ones that practice matrilineal succession. Some other indigenous groups around the world in Africa, Asia, or Polynesia also did the same thing. If you're wondering what this is, it simply means that people take after their mother's name and family. So for example, if two people get married and have a child, in the matrilineal succession type of culture, the child will belong to the mother's side of the family and take the mother's side family's name. An easy way to think about this is the opposite of what we know in the majority of the world, where the child would take the father's name and carry on the father's family side of things. It is not unique, again, to the ancient Pueblo people. There are other cultures that do this same type of succession. And honestly, I don't think one way or the other makes any difference. Alright, let's get into the next and final fact, the Great Drought. In the year 1130, or around that time, North America had a significant climate change in the form of a 300-year drought. This 300-year drought was called the Great Drought, and which really impacted the ancient Pueblo people's environment. It is because of this drought that really shaped their current culture and perhaps contributed to their downfall into many smaller different cultures or nations, because the once great cities or concentration of people that they had could not survive because of the lack of water, and forced the people to move all around the country to find better suitable places to live and to grow food. So you can see that the Great Drought really shaped these people, and perhaps one of the reasons why the Navajo still exists today as a singular nation, whereas the Pueblo people have divided themselves into many smaller nations, could be because of this Great Drought. So as you can see, climate change really impacts societies and has a hand in shaping different civilizations and changing the course of human settlements and countries. It is important to note that without the Great Drought, perhaps the ancient Pueblo people could have existed today as a single nation like the Navajo. Great. That's it for my video. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe. See you next time.